Michael Pulido, who goes by the title Experience Designer, is an amazing musician and one of the kindest humans I have come across. Raised by his wonderful, loving grandparents, Michael got into America's one of the most prestigious music schools by playing Joe Satriani's song at his audition. An introvert who would like to meet new people now helps organizations in creating an ideal harmonious experience which results in gained outputs for the entire organization. Let's hear his intricate, interesting story from Michael himself. Ladies and gents, Michael Pulido. Hi and welcome. This is Harshit Bhardwaj, and you're watching the Gist of It podcast. I have a fantastic guest tonight. It's close to midnight here in India, but I have a guest from all the way from Dallas, Texas, in the United States, Michael Pulido.
Hello,
Welcome, Michael, to
everybody.
the show.
Thank you for
Michael
having
is
me.
an experienced designer. We'll talk about that. A kick ass musician, and I've experienced that firsthand. A content creator of all kinds and a producer. So, Michael, welcome to the show. How are you this evening, this morning there?
I'm doing really good. It's midnight over there where you are. It's afternoon over here where I am, and the weather has just been crazy. It was cold yesterday in the 50s. Today it's in the
Wow.
80s, and it's really muggy. So I had to run inside and wipe my face off and make sure I wasn't all sweaty. I was walking outside for a little while.
So, tell me about the experienced designer or
Experience design.
experienced
Well,
design. Yes.
there's different levels of it, and I'll walk you through what I've in my roles with the clients that I work with. This is the diversity of what experience
Yeah.
design is. On one hand, you have the technical side, which is where you're creating websites, you're creating apps, you're designing networks, pathways, and creating a user experience for the end user of a technology. That's one thing, platform based. That's the technical side of it. The other side of that is the customer experience, where you designed the landscape, the interior of the technical side that you're doing. So in the field, you can either be a specialist, which is the tech side, which is very linear, it's very exact, and there's no room for creativity unless you're like just really dead set on doing it. I'm not saying you can't, but
Hmm.
when people hire me for that side, they don't want me to be creative. They get it done. Don't be creative.
Okay.
On the other side of that, there's a creative side, which is the generalization side, not the
Hmm.
specialization, but the generalization, where you can spend more time in ideation on the idea,
Hmm.
so that you can communicate with the technology side and say, okay, this is what the customer is going to want to experience. These are the colors that they might want. These are the narratives we're going to want to use. And if there's media, I produce the media for it. If we need a video walkthrough, if we need music to go behind something, or if we need to create that kind of atmosphere,
Hmm.
then that's what we do. Now, the third part of experience design that I deal with is employee experience. That is when I go into a company that has many, many departments, many employees, and you need to create a corporate culture so that they're all on the same page. And there's a misconception of the word culture.
Hmm.
When we hear that, we immediately think, oh, like the American culture, the Indian culture, this and that.
Hmm.
We think of it as an elitist point of view of, oh, we're cultured, we're like this, we're kind of snooty, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Hmm.
Culture, when it gets derived all the way back down to its etymology, it means discipline. It means knowing and understanding the systemization that exists within a society.
Mm,
So in a company, when you have an ecosystem that
mm,
has a lot of different parts, a lot of different elements, you want a discipline that they can all follow. And that discipline has to be for their benefit. Okay. This
mm,
is separate from customer experience. We have that to, coming at our butts, customer, and then we forget about the employees. And so I design for that side, I use my 3 key actions brand, which is resolve, dissolve, evolve, which is a social contract that they make with themselves that follows whatever the corporate policy is. And that's a social contract that says they will be resolute in the fact that they are there, they've made the decision to do the job. We've already proven that they can do the job. So we're going to back off a little bit, give them a little bit of autonomy,
mm,
and allow them to progress and use their skills to do something that they would enjoy and bring that into the job.
mm,
Then for the employees that I see that are really excelling, I get an opportunity to then help them dissolve any type of obstacle that's in their way. And what I found is that they just want the job to be special for them.
mm,
And in many times, they're not going to pay them more. They already know that they're going to work anyway.
mm,
So for me, with my experience, what I create for the individuals that want to take me up on it, of course, I can't force it,
mm,
but I'll sit down with them and I ask what they want, what they like, how they'd like to progress, not just in the company, but out the company.
mm,
And I put together a business plan for them. I put together some kind of model that they can follow. And I do it for free, while I'm working for the company. And, so then they're kind of amazed. And I've gone as far as to produce websites for these individuals. And they're just like, oh my God, like all of a sudden I'm here, I have my own company, and I have this thing, and
mm,
as long as I keep working here, I can keep funding it. And I'm like, yes, that's how this job becomes special. Don't depend on the company. The company's already there. They already did their job.
mm,
Don't expect them to just keep throwing money at you. It doesn't exist anymore like that. So now you become an asset for the company. Now the company will see, okay, well, not only will this individual quit, but they have their own business now. We're becoming a little bit obsolete. And that's the experience I like to bring, because now these employees go from being subordinates. And some of these jobs, they're not your favorite job. You didn't wake up one morning thinking, oh, I'm going to go do this labor job,
uh,
but you did wake up one day and think, man, I wish someone can help me with this. I wish someone can help me with this idea that's just a needle in my brain and I don't have the resources, and so when that connection is made, when that human connection is made, and they see that, okay, I can keep getting this as long as I stay here, as long as I'm loyal to the company, and the owners, the CEOs, and sometimes there's like 5 layers of management before they get to these individuals, they can think, okay, if I give some autonomy, maybe I give an extra 15-minute break where they can
mm,
just spend on that, as long as they're coming back and I'm the intermediary. So as long as I can come back and show them, look, this is what your employees are doing. This is
uh,
amazing. This is a story to tell. You can really uplift your own business by uplifting them. You don't have to give them money. You don't have to do anything, but just let them do it a little bit, just a
mm,
little bit. Give them that time. Let's build that trust. Autonomy builds
mm,
loyalty, for
mm,
real. And micromanagement, that's just going to drive your
mm,
employees out, especially the good ones. And
mm,
that's where I mediate with HR departments that are
mm,
so bound by language and structure and political correctness. I'm able to come in and just squash all of that and say,
yeah,
look, let's look at the positive,
uh,
and let's find a fastest way to turn around the employees who are opposition defiant. And that's the evolve part of the resolve, dissolve, evolve 3 key actions.
mm,
Is HR departments need to understand how fast to let a bad employee go. And when I say bad, I mean
mm,
someone who has the personality types of like a narcissist who just likes causing trouble, or is opposition defiant, who is, just, it doesn't matter what you tell them. You can tell them, here's a bag of $1 million, here you go. And they're like, I don't want that $1 million, just opposition to everything. Those employees, they need a little bit more help than the managers can provide them. These managers are not psychiatrists. These managers are not built to sit there and, mediate and babysit all of this behavior. So HR departments need to come to terms and say, okay, well, if you've been able to outline, the personality types and do that, then yes, we can turn them over. We can terminate them, let them go. And because otherwise, that triangulation will poison the entire system, your entire ecosystem. It's like a barge of oil exploding in the ocean. And then that problem, it's going to take months, hundreds of thousands of dollars to just, deal with all of the stress, employees quitting, managers stepping down, that kind of thing. So the 3 key actions really help me just solidify what I do, because some of these individuals, they might just like a guitar lesson here and again, and they don't want to pay for it. And they shouldn't have to. If I'm there and this is the capacity that I'm at, I bring my guitar with me, strap it on my back, walk in, hey, why don't we skip a lunch today? I'll give you this guitar lesson. No, you can't have a lunch and a guitar lesson. This is work. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, and I don't work for free. So, just like, don't take advantage. And we learn, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't think of it that way. I'm like, yes, there's a value here. There's an added value here. So imagine that you just got paid an extra $2 an hour so that you can afford this. And I'm never going to diminish my value. That's for sure. I've learned that the hard way. And so I let them know, you're getting it for free, but somebody's paying for it, that I'm here, I'm not doing the labor that you're doing, but I'm still here. You see me here every day, and it's a graveyard shift. So the reason for that is the company that I'm working for right now, they have a graveyard shift, and they're having an extremely hard time keeping employees for that shift. I mean, that's a lifestyle right there, to work a graveyard shift like that. And fortunate for me, I have insomnia. So it works for me. And I got the gig by, it just fell into my lap. I got so fortunate, and I don't know what I did, but it fell into my lap. And that's not to say it hasn't been hard. It's a pretty challenging job. And I've even almost got into a fight with an employee, just so opposition defiant. And it took HR so long to get rid of him. And he was just baiting me. So it was one of those things. But,
Fantastic.
so he's gone now. So, but in a nutshell, that is
resolve, the 3 part, resolve, dissolve, and evolve.
Right. And so let me finish that thought. So those individuals, they have a chance, they have a chance then to say, okay, well, I am going to dissolve all the obstacles mentally, physically, and I'm going to evolve into someone who is no longer opposition defiant, because I will teach you the methods of polarity. If you can be opposition defiant, you can be non-opposition defiant. And I teach them how to use those polarities. And then we get into the meditative states. And that's a success for the 3 key actions. When you get terminated, it's like, okay, well, it didn't work. I did everything I could. I did all of this. Bye. And so that creates a final close. Yes, we did it right, and because that's what I need. I need to be able to qualify and quantify, because I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't, I can't say that, but I am doing this. I am doing that job, and I have to be able to qualify it,
Absolutely. So sounds like a process that you mastered. Yes. Amazing. But doesn't that make, when you're talking about giving autonomy to the employees and making them self-sufficient, doesn't that make the owners a little insecure?
Absolutely. Yeah. And not in the way that you would think, not like they're going to take over the company or anything like that. It's just that these companies, when they're this big, they have labor budgets, they have shareholders, they're scrutinized to no end. And so an employee who, let's say that they don't have the maturity work ethic that the standards require, they're going to slip up. They're going to, if you give them enough autonomy, they're not going to do their job. They're going to just, sit around. They're going to relax. They'll get complacent, things like that. And those are the insecurities that business owners have, because there's a labor budget there. There's time theft involved, and since we're even saying there's a such thing as time, which I don't like, but now we have time, this thing called time, where you got this much time to do this much time to do that. And it doesn't exist. And it's crazy making, it's counterintuitive to the human condition. And so employees feel that. You have to be empathetic to that. And that's what I teach these business owners is like, chill a little bit. Let's find out who has work ethic. Let's give this autonomy. Let's find out who's going to stick around and who we're going to have to let go of. Because you find that out when you see someone slacking off. You're like, look, we're giving you this autonomy. We're going to need you to step it up a little bit. And if they come back at you like, oh, well, blah, 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 then it's like, okay, it's time for you to go. This isn't the best place for you. And we really don't need to foster this at all. You either do or you don't. And that is the polarity, and you don't have to like it. You don't have to like me. So that's what they're insecure about. They don't want to waste money because then quarterly, when they're talking to the shareholders, they're like, okay, well, why are we spending so much money on it? What is it? And so that's fair. That's a genuine concern.
That's fair. That's fair. It's interesting because we had a absolutely similar discussion in the office today. We're working with a lot of interns, design interns, creative interns who are studying design or graphic design or videos and fashion designing. And one of our team leaders finding it extremely difficult to manage their workloads because these interns, they work in their own times remotely. So I told them exactly this, that you give them autonomy. You tell them that all we need to understand is once a day review of what you did the previous day. We won't judge you how much or how little you did. We'll probably review it for a week. After a week, we'll review it, how much work you've done and what was expected. But in the creative field, especially when you're doing something creative, whether it's music or graphic or video edit or whatever, illustrations, you can't set a time limit. I don't know how much time is going to take you to do this illustration, right? Even the person who's doing it can't tell you. I mean, I can't tell you, and the person who's doing it can't tell me. So we leave it to them. We just tell them, you just give us an update, 15 minutes, fixed time. This is what we did yesterday. Okay, thank you. This is our feedback. That's it. So let them do it for a week. Let them do it for 10 days. And then see if it's good enough for us. If they're taking too long, then you talk it over or let them go. If it's fine, because you can't control every waking hour of an employee anyway, which I think most people want to do. It's an old school. It's an old school thing. With the remote working, it's not going to work. It has to be a big shift in culture.
Yes.
Brilliant point. Let me go back to because I really want to talk about your music. So you majored in guitar. You did a 3-year degree in music with majoring in guitar, and you would have hoped when you did your degree in music that you'd singularly focus and devote your entire career or life to music. And so how did it pan out once you came out of college? Tell us about your days as a musician, initial days, and how far you've reached your goal.
Okay, let me make a correction, and I'm sorry, it's not your fault. I didn't go to college. I went to a performing and visual arts school.
Yes, you told me. Yes, so it's not a degree. Okay.
Right. So I have my high schow degree, which is a major in guitar and the integration of abilities. So I do have the qualifications. I have it. Studied guitar for 4 years, studied the integration of abilities for 4 years, and very intense. You have to audition to get into the school, and it's a very select. I think when I was there were only about 600 students.
Wow.
And it's one of the most elite schools in Dallas, and according to Forbes, it's still one of the best high schools teaching this level of curriculum in the United States. So that's kind of been my claim to fame. When my clients see, oh, you didn't go to college, they see, oh, but you went to Booker T. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, yes, I don't have a student loan. So
fantastic.
and that creates a big it lightens their load because now they know that I'm not coming in with the stresses of the financial burdens of a college degree, because you can have an amazing job, but if all your money is going to pay off a loan, it's not that amazing anymore. I don't have that. I have the luxury of saying, man, I did this in high school. And from high school, I went straight into my career. So I've been in bands, I've been in, that kind of thing. That's always been great, but it was never my heart. I always had to be the guitarist, the front man, and I never considered myself a good front man on the band. I'm sure like I had that insecurity. I would do it. We were a house band in Dallas. We played all the clubs. We were pretty popular, and been featured here and there. I've been in several bands. That's that thing. Techno music, dance music. I love creating that. I've been a producer for a lot of different, you know, local artists. I've worked with Grammy winners. I've worked with platinum producing artists. So I've run that gamut. Now, how it started is I majored in guitar. So right towards between my junior and senior year, I created a company name, which is Studio 2 AM. I still use it to this day. And the reason I came up with that is, like I said, I have insomnia. So my schedule for 4 years was go to school by 6, get home by 4:30, go to work by 5, work until 12, 12, get home, have to practice my guitar work, have to do my science, have to do my English. Blah. By 2 o'clock, that is the latest I can stay up and still function the next day, because I had to go to school again, had to go to, and that was the process. So I learned how to endure. And that is key. Okay. This business is no joke. The music business is no joke. You're not going to sleep if you want to succeed in it. And you shouldn't, if you're already asleep, being in this body, being on this earth, you're asleep. So wake up, get this energy going and endure, push through. And that's what I did. I had a lot of responsibilities. I was taking care of my grandparents. I couldn't get in a lot of trouble. I still did, but it's here and there. So I had the company name Studio 2 AM, but I didn't start with Studio 2 AM. I found myself immediately working with people that had like stage fright, because we were always looking for a singer for our band. And I found myself training, like, hey, you can do it. You can do this, and this is how you would do it. So then I created a company called Timid Soul Productions. So for souls that are timid, I would produce the souls so that they can get out of their stage fright. So I started with singers, then I ended up working with actors, then I ended up working with public speakers, then I ended up working with my wife, who I married. And I was able to have her as like a perfect specimen, someone who just follow, and she made it work. She really set the catalyst and really pushed my brand out there, the Timid Soul Productions. When I met her, that's how we came up with the River of Imagination. So backtrack a little bit. So from there, I found myself creating really interesting, cool people that could do things like play guitar. They weren't shy anymore. So then I was like, well, let me build a little studio for them. Let me start recording. So here comes. So now I had Timid Soul Productions, making money here. Now I can take them from here to Studio 2 AM. Okay, I'll charge you a little more to record you, this and that. So that's how that turned out. So all of a sudden, I'm going from performing to producing. And producing pays a lot more than performing, So I was like, okay, well, this is cool, and I had my son early at 21. So, I had to make that decision. I knew I wasn't going to go to college. I knew I wasn't going to travel. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I had custody of my son, very proud of that. Raised him, and we've been estranged. We've gone through everything, and he's hated me. I've loved him. He's loved me, and we've gone through all of that. He's seen the worst of what an artist could be. And he's seen the best of it. He went to the Marines. I'm very proud of him. He'll never know. He will never in a million lifetimes know how proud of him I am. He will never know. So I had to do this. I had to do this. So from there, I met my wife. And so I had Timid Soul Productions, Studio 2 AM. I dissolved Timid Soul Productions. I kept Studio 2 AM, and we created M&P Creative. which is Michael and Pia Creative. She's a publicist. She's a PR person. She's an editor. She went to college, right? So now I have that leverage. Now I don't have to say I went to college. She went to college because we're a business now. So she leveraged me. She just lifted me up. She broke me out of that barrier. That glass ceiling is gone. Now they don't have to ask me, do I have a degree? No, my business partner does. Now what? What? I'm still going to do the work. I'm still the one that's going to do the work, you know? And so, man, it's cutthroat out there. You know, you can't always be nice and humble and zen. You know, you'll find yourself broke easy. You know, a lot of people aren't zen. They're like, they're going to come get you. So having the zen helps you deal with that. Having that, you know, helps you really, really deal with that. And that's where the integration of abilities comes in, which is what I also studied at Booker T, is learning how to integrate your thoughts and emotions together to figure out what feelings are yours and which ones you want to have. So when I'm mad, I'm mad. When I'm happy, I'm happy. There's no confusion. There's no dissecting me, you know. So I was able to really foster that with the musicians and with the individuals that I ended up working at a mergers and acquisitions firm. Almost 5 years, maybe. That set me up. That set MMP Creative up to where I can transition into Michael Pulido. And I've had a website for a while, michaelpulido.com. We've had websites for all of this. Then it went to Michael Pulido. Now it's revamping into the 3 key actions. So at this mergers and acquisitions firm, I was a senior business advisor, and I worked with over 200 to 300 business owners who were looking to sell their businesses.
Okay.
And I'm not a broker, but what I would do is I would consult with them, and I would give them strategies as to how to build their intangible value, get away from their P&L statements, use creative methods to build new brands, to build new products, to show that they're worth more, to teach them how to use language that doesn't say that they want to sell, but it postures them in front of buyers, people that would buy. And it's not like you say, hey, I want to buy your company. No, man, there's a process there. It takes time, and you got to be able to prove your worth. And so a lot of these business owners, you know, really took to that. They liked my style. They liked how I was doing it. And I ended up creating my own position in that company. And that's how I exited into my own business. So I told them, look, give me a month, let me train. There was over 150 salespeople from Florida to Austin and Dallas, and they were open other satellites. And so I put together a systemized training for their sales reps so that, you know, they can follow that. And it's what the 3 key actions essentially is. But I didn't think of it as that way. It was just, you know, little video tutorials on how to, you know, how to sell, how to talk to these CEOs and these business owners who were making these life-changing decisions, you know, and it worked. You know, they gave me a month to put it together. I put it together, I delivered it, and I just transitioned my way out. And that's how I got here to where I am today. So I learned in high school that although I love playing guitar, it's always going to be my passion. This person right here, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
That guy, I will always pick up the guitar to commune with him. That's my grandfather. I'm legally adopted by my grandparents. And he taught me how to play guitar. And he's the one that set me up for success since I was, born. They legally adopted me. That's a part of my story that that we'll be putting out in our 4th book that we're releasing, Stickman Sully. So yeah, he's always going to be a part of me. Therefore, my guitar will always be a part of me. I'm a guitarist first. That's what I tell everybody. I'm a guitarist first. If you're going to hire me, you're going to be hiring me because I'm a guitarist, and from that, I excelled into all of these other things. So yeah, that's the nutshell version. You know,
it's amazing how somebody trained in music, and of course you have the temperament and the attitude and the inherent gift of music, can do so many different things successfully. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
desperation,
uh,
they say, is the mother of invention. When you have a kid, at 21 years old, and your grandparents are grandparents. I didn't have regular, parents of the proper age. In my mind, it's like, man, these guys are going to go soon. I got to make something happen. I don't have anybody taking care of me. I don't have a trust fund. We were
yeah, it'll be amazing, isn't it? If we have the guitarist in house, why not have some music all the
okay.
way from Dallas to India, midnight?
That is awesome. Yes, I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I've always wanted to play India. Hey.
Now you're playing, yeah, playing live, and we also have an audience. My cousin who's learning guitar, he just bought the Ibanez. He's just right here.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, Ibanez. That's my brand. A couple of my influences have always been Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. Of course, they're Ibanez players, and they kept me hooked. Um, so they're two of my top influences. Like as far as guitar players go, of course, there's a million guitar players that I could name, but I don't want to run out of another Zoom time. So you want to hear some kind of blues?
Oh yeah.
Let me see. I guess I'll noodle through some scales and stuff. Scales are important. Master your scales. You can do this. So let me see. Let
Yeah.
me find that.
Anything in A minor, because that's what I've been practicing. So I'll
Oh,
probably
okay.
pick up some bits from you.
All right. So A minor.
Yeah.
Can you hear that? Okay. Should I turn off the fuzz?
No, no, it's absolutely fine. I love it. Love the
Okay.
sound.
And so yeah, that's some blues there.
Amazing, amazing, absolutely fantastic. You actually didn't inspire me. You scared me.
Well, good, good. That's what I like.
Yeah, you scared the hell out of us. And so you basically saying, Harsh, you need a lot of hours, a lot of practice hours.
it, it does take a lot of hours. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Yes.
I remember the stress and practice. I had to audition to get into the school, right? Already nervous. Okay,
Mm.
I'd never had a formal guitar lesson just from my grandfather, and everything else was self-taught. So never a formal lesson ever. I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know the names of my strings. I didn't know anything. And I played a song by Joe Satriani called Midnight
Oh
as
yeah.
my audition piece.
Yeah.
And the teacher then, after I played, you know, he's like sitting there and he puts a piece of sheet music in front of me and asked me to play it. I'm like, I can't. It's like I can't read music. And he goes, well, how did you learn the song? I was like, well, I have a tape. Do you have a tape? Yeah. He was like, how did you learn it with a tape? Like, did you just sit there and rewind? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to sit there and rewind it over and over again for a long time. He goes, well, how long did it take you? I was like, a couple of days. What?
Wow.
So
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't know what I was going to play. I knew, okay, in the church, right? You're playing like flamenco style guitar, so I could rip up and down. I'm a
Mm.
very
Mm.
trained flamenco style guitar player. Okay,
Yeah.
um, from my grandfather, that's the style we grew up playing. So I was able to do all of that. I was impressive enough, but when it came to music, no. So he looked at me and he goes, "Well, are you ready to work hard?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." He didn't tell me anything, and later I got my acceptance letter.
Wow.
Changed my life. I mean, that changed my life. If I hadn't have gotten into that school, I don't know, maybe I'd be a millionaire rock star. I don't know, because I wouldn't have gone through the integration of abilities. I would have, who knows? It would have been better. It would have been worse, but it changed my life because I've made an impact in people's lives. I've made an impact, and I'll always be grateful for that teacher, Chuck Pangburn. He created a system of learning that really just worked for me. So
Absolutely.
4 years working with this man, and just, yeah, God bless him wherever he is.
Yeah. Wow. 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 See, learning music formally always does help. It always does help. I think it instills a lot of sense of appreciating other music. I think it's a brilliant opportunity anyone can get. So yes, fantastic. Okay, let me get
Yeah.
back to something that you mentioned a couple of times already. Your insomnia. You have told me
Uh,
the story behind it, and it's absolutely fine if you wouldn't want to go back to it. But I think it's something you should talk out loud because it is something that moved me, and I kept
well,
thinking about me for 4 days.
yeah, it's something that I've kept close to my chest. For a long time, I would never talk about it. When people would ask me where you get insomnia, I tell them the Studio 2 a.m.
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
And that keeps it light, levity, and just like that. I don't like people dragging people into my stuff. But for about 12 years, I became a shut-in. I did not leave my house.
Mm.
I would not leave my house. I worked from home. I did that. We sacrificed a lot. My wife couldn't understand, what I was taking myself through. I was raising my son. I wanted to be home for my kids. That's what I had growing up. I had a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked. Then I had the luxury of having both grandparents with me all the time. Amazing. So I wanted to give that to my kids, and we sacrificed a lot. Very unconventional. Usually,
Mm.
the wife stays home in our society, and we got a lot of hell for that. But we survived it. My kids are better for it. So I talk about it now because I found the strength to get out of the house. That's how I ended up working with this client that I'm working with right now. Is I had to get out of the house, and the worst thing is we moved to Dallas while I was going through this process,
Mm.
and in the middle of everything, I'm already don't want to be around people. I don't want to be around society. I can't handle it. It's just too much. I cannot. We got here in the best place of our lives, at the top of our game, and I couldn't leave. I could not leave
Mm.
the apartment. It's like it was horrible. And so then I started finishing a book I started writing back when I was a teenager, called Stickman Sully. Sully is short for solitude, because I loved solitude. And that's where I found my peace in meditation. I learned how to meditate really early, and not like just the sit still, be quiet meditation, but the science of meditation. Get into that sometime. But the reason I have insomnia is it's self induced. And the reason is, as I mentioned, I'm adopted by my grandparents. Okay. And so this book that I'm writing is going to tell a little bit of the story. It's going to help me make a human connection in this regard, because I know a lot of people have gone through this to some degree, and I found it myself, thinking, man, I'm helping all of these people, but I'm not helping me. I'm not helping myself go through this. I'm doing the things for myself, and I'm explaining to other people how to do it, and they're being successful, but I'm not taking that next step in sharing the story. People need to know how I came up with all of this, and why, and how young, and all of those things make an impact. And I've had amazing um, psychiatrists in my life, counselors, and who were very strict. They were very strict. They're like, you're going to get one session. We're going to give you the tools for what you need because you've explained everything, and that's it. Both times they did that. And I've taken my MMPI-2 test, my personality test. So I know my baseline. I've gone through all of that. So this is a life's work. Okay. So when I was adopted, I was a baby. I was legally adopted by my grandparents. They already had 7 kids before me. They were already old. Their kids were already gone, had other kids. They had, their hits and misses in life and going through all of that stuff. But a few of the knuckleheads were very resentful of me. Like, what made me so special? What made my mom, that she was called all kinds of things. The worst things a child could hear about his mother. I've heard them, and Mother's Day is coming up, and that's always a tough part of the year. We really make a connection. I didn't grow up with her, so we don't have that bond. I know she's my mom and all of that, but we didn't have that bond. So I didn't have anyone to turn to. My parents were old, and this is what I was told by these guys, my family, is that they're too old to take care of me. They shouldn't have adopted me, and that I'm going to be the reason they died. So I would force myself to stay up all night long. I would make a little bed at the foot of their door, and they'd wake up, they'd open the door and hit me on the head. It's like, what are you doing there? And I could never tell them. They just knew that I was scared of the dark. I never told them this story. I never ever shared this with them, and they passed away, and I never got a chance to tell them of this fear. And so I figured now's a good time in my life where I'm making enough impact with people that I can share this story and let people know that, that's where my insomnia comes from. Very self-induced, no guidance through that. It became very troublesome in school, falling asleep at school, doing bad at school. I am a teacher's worst nightmare. I've always been a nightmare student, on the creative side, and then on the, no sleep, just I have to admit that as an adult, I have to admit, man, I was a mess as a kid. I went through these traumas, and that's what Stickman Sully is about. And I have to throw a shout out to a few people. Louis Colombo, he was one of my very first connections on here. I will be forever grateful for him. And David Reed, and Sam Swirsky. They've been the most incredible connections online, and they helped me through this process. I shared this a little bit with them, and luckily they're still connected with me and still supportive with me. Lisa Stromball is another person. Without these people, I wouldn't have been able to open the door to get this opportunity to go out, and that helped my creative work on LinkedIn to put myself out there, put my work out there. And to be able to do these talks with you, they've been very pivotal. Yeah, and that. And another person, she's a newer connect of mine, but her name is Pamela Brinkler. She's putting out a book called Conscious Bravery. And I started following her post, and I wouldn't comment, but it was like her words, her vibe was just really, really great. And this was before I knew she was putting out the book. She wasn't talking about it. She was just, posting her things. And then she started talking about her book. And I thought, man, I wish I would have had a book like that, because we started communicating. I kind of came out of my shell. I'm like, I'm gonna test the waters here, and I'm gonna communicate with this person, and she was receptive, and we've had this, conversation going, and she's been amazing, an amazing supporter. And I know that this book, when it comes out, it's going to qualify and quantify everything I've been through. I know it because I've spoken with her, and I believe that this book belongs in everybody's hands. I hope people really support it, because I think she has something to share in that book. I wish I would have had those tools in my hands as a child going through these things. I wish I had a mentor saying, hey, Mike, look, that's not going to happen. You know, they're going to pass. That's going to happen. But it's not going to be your fault, bro. And just pull me out of that, because it could have been so simple. So I guess I've convinced myself that, oh, I had to go through that. And I guess I did, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have the content that I have. It'd be different. I'd have something, but it wouldn't be this. And
Exactly.
this is
Exactly.
important.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's where I am with that.
I'm so glad the book is coming out, because as a publisher and as somebody who loves books, I'll be really happy to read that book and try and promote it to as many people as we can. And I'm sure it's going to be a great book.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
because I can see it's very special for you. It's not just book.
Yeah.
It's a
And that's
culmination
the
of your
purpose
life's lesson.
and that's the purpose of the River of Imagination. The three children's books that we did, you know, in our career, we're releasing that as a 10-year anniversary of that brand, so that I can release the fourth book that's coming out. That it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit on the darker side, and very, you know, really trying to make a human connection there, telling a story. A lot of it's poetry, a lot of deep poetry in there. But yeah, the River of Imagination. When we first met, I think I shared this with you. I was very skeptical in speaking with you, because one of the first things you mentioned is that you owned a publishing house. And I didn't want to come off as someone who was like, well, publish me. And I also didn't want you to come off as someone like baiting me into something. So there was so I was curious about the connection there. But yeah, if there's any way you can help, absolutely.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned before, I really want to work with Anisha SCD in what she does, and working with students out there. I really want to make it to India. We've shared this before. So the River of Imagination is to raise funds to do that, to establish myself out there, whether it's with you through your publishing company, or whether it's through establishing my brand and helping a business that's helping these villages, where we can create a curriculum to go out there and use these books to do that. And I'm not going to take out a business loan for this. I'm not going to save for the rest of my life. I'm putting out these books, and I want to sell as many as I possibly can. Yeah, I'm in this world to make money. That's the way anything happens.
Absolutely.
Unless someone's going to pave my way, which has happened.
You have to make it commercially viable. That's what I keep telling everyone. Any good message, whatever it is, howsoever good it is, it has to be commercially viable to have legs to go as far as possible. We are doing this project in school I told you about, and I'm very passionate about it. And this is going to be the first time I'm discussing it in the public forum. We haven't released it. So what we're doing is, a few years ago, a young man in India committed suicide. He was in his early 20s. And it was quite news, and he left a suicide note. I read it often. I've read it a few times. A couple of lines have stuck with me for a long time. He said that my birth was a fatal accident. I had a very lonely childhood, and I was never appreciated as a child. So when I grew up and I wanted to be a writer, I was always looking for that appreciation and validation, which I never got. The things got worse and worse as I grew, and there are a lot of other things. So I always wanted to create an ecosystem where we can give appreciation and recognition to every child. Find a way where we can reach out to children and appreciate anything and everything that they're doing. So because we are in the business of books and publishing and writing, and so we have approached a school, and this is the pilot school, and we've asked all the children, everyone, every single student, to be part of putting together a book. So we given them a topic and some pointers. So the students are going to research it, they are going to write it, they are going to do the illustrations and art, they are going to do the edit and the proofread, and they are going to do a musical piece on it, and they're going to do a little play on it. and every single student of the school would be involved, and every single one of them will be appreciated in a function or a ceremony. And then we'll take this to the next school, and then the next one. And we have to make it commercially viable. So we have some ideas for that collaboration with somebody like you who's passionate about this idea of reaching out to the kids. And just like you said, if you had somebody when you needed, just a simple statement like, don't worry, it's not going to happen, just one liner would have made it things far easier for you. So
Yeah,
just one line of recognition can change a child's life. It changed mine. I was appreciated as a sixth grader, and that one moment made me the author and the publisher, whatever I am today. So
absolutely.
that's what we're doing. So we are going to introduce your books. We are going to introduce other fantastic books, inculcate a process of reading,
Wow.
writing, expressing, and then a system, an ecosystem where everyone is appreciated. So they will all submit their stuff on the portal, online portal, and good, bad, or ugly. Nobody will judge
Mhm.
them negatively. Everyone, every submitted piece will be appreciated. And so we're
That
collecting a
is
panel
amazing.
of mentors like you, let's say 50 mentors like you. So all you have to do is just visit the portal once in a while and go through certain stuff and just say wow, give some token of appreciation, and that is more
That
than
would be
enough,
amazing. Yeah, I'd love.
isn't it? I mean, Michael
Yeah,
Pulido from Dallas, Texas, giving a token of appreciation, saying, "Wow, you wrote well, or you drew well, and you did this well." That'll be something, and that could be life changing. We don't realize the power of
absolutely.
this. So that's
Yeah.
the entire project in the nutshell. And we're making it
Wow.
commercially viable, and I'm sure. Um,
Yeah, I remember you speaking to me about that, and I haven't. That conversation just stuck to my head. I'm like, man, how can I make this happen? And I was talking to Pia about it, and at first we were going to release the River of Imagination as a digital
mm,
piece, like a Kindle thing,
yeah.
because before we released them as physical books. We did really
Mm,
well with it. It's a 3-book series, and we thought, well, why don't we just cut the cost of printing and just go digital,
yeah.
and because we want to be able to deliver. But over the past couple of months in working at this company, implementing the 3 key actions, like as I mentioned, part of that is developing business plans. Well, I found one employee they've chosen me to publish their book. So they've actually become my client now,
Okay.
and I'm publishing a book for them. Her name is Krishna, and she wrote a book of survivor. She's a survivor of many traumas, some pretty traumatic abuse, and she wrote a book called Like a Kite, Be
Mm,
Like a Kite, and she gave me the manuscript. She says, I don't know what to do, but here's a manuscript, and she did a little payment, and that's it. And we produced it. We got her business plan together. And as soon as we release the pre-orders for the Blue Dragonfly, those proceeds will be used to produce her book as well. And, we decided that we're going to actually print the River of Imagination again. And I can't wait to get it into your hands, because I really want this to happen. I really want to do this. And I want you to be able to see that, yes, Michael Pulido, all the way in Dallas, is investing. He is putting his own money into this. He sent me a book, and we want to push it. We want to support him, because they are, commercially viable. They do come with these lessons. They do come with these things, and we've had success with them. And now it's for a much bigger purpose. It's for a purpose that's not for me. It's raising funds so that I can do for others. And people were asking me, well, why India? It's like, well, that's the only ones who are reaching out to me right now. And I've had a calling. I've had a calling even as a child. I've just been completely mystified by it. And it's just something's just calling me out there. And, even before I met Anisha, before I met you, I've been talking to people like, how do I get out there? Like, I don't travel,
yeah.
12 years as a shut-in, you don't learn how to travel. So it's like, okay, well, what's going on? And Sam Swirsky talked to me a little bit about, his travels back and forth. And I'm like, well, yeah, now I gotta do this. Now I'm meeting people who have actually been there. So, and then I'm meeting people who are there. And now these people are doing like they need what I have. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I do this? Well, do it. Put the book out. Why are you going digital? Why are you doing that? These kids need it in their hands. They need someone, a mentor who can sit there with it. And I thought, man, that's awesome. And then for this Dick Man and Sully and this other one, I'm like, well, now I have someone else who wants me to produce a song. These are my LinkedIn connects. Like the impact is happening. And now we're having this talk, and I'm like, man, it's too real. It's too real now. This isn't hypothetical. So as long as you don't stop, I won't stop. And if you can
Oh,
put your, networks, your pool of people behind what we're doing, it was designed for you.
this
You or
is
somebody out there, why not you?
this is
And,
happening. This is
yeah,
happening. This is happening because this is my life's. This is the consolidation of everything that I have done so far. This is a point where everything I know, everything I am, everything I have done, this is the result of all that, and it's going to
right.
happen. We have the entire plan because we'll go school by school, and with every school we'll be striking a relationship. And just in my city, I'm just outside New Delhi. In my city, there are over 300 schools just in my
Yeah,
city, and there are
that,
hundreds of such
wow.
cities around the country. So
Wow.
the scaling up is not a problem, and because we'll be going digital soon. Once we do some pilot schools, we'll bring
Mhm.
it all to an app or a portal, and then work on a very small subscription fee, where we'll give them a lot of stuff in a small subscription fee. So
Right. Would I be able to do like guitar lessons?
absolutely anything to do for kids. Any see,
Awesome.
that's what we're doing. The first part is we're teaching them to express via writing and illustrations. That's the first
Hmm.
leg. But I want them to be able to do films, to be able to compose music, to be able to
Nice.
do theater, do it all, produce everything in school. I want school kids running around with cameras, shooting films, putting together scripts, composing music. Just think about it. It's not happening anywhere in the world, like apart from some really, really, really posh schools. So
Yeah.
if we can make it happen, put it together, schools are more than happy. Everyone I've talked to, they're like, okay, just do it. And
Right.
small
And
subscription multiplied by thousands of schools, that's pretty okay commercial viability, right? even
absolutely.
even like a
And
couple
they
of
will
dollars
support
of
it.
subscription multiplied by, let's say, 5,000 students in a school, that is $10,000 from one school. So
Sure.
it's not bad money either. But
No, not at all.
if we can
And
make it
and it is
happen,
viable.
yes,
I've been teaching homeschool families for quite a while. When we moved to Dallas, I stopped teaching altogether. And Pia was telling me, well, why don't you start doing like YouTube lessons and stuff like that? I'm like, well, there's already so much on that.
yeah,
But now it's like, well, now I can start making those for this purpose. It doesn't have to be for YouTube. Now it can be for this. I'm
absolutely,
not working and giving my work away for likes and that
yeah,
kind of scrutiny over there. No, I want it for someone that I know is going to use it, not just by chance it might pop up and someone might
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, 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 no.
Direct.
That's what
And
I'll be doing. I'll be teaching writing, and I'll be teaching. So we have my brother-in-law. He's a creative director at McCann's. Uh, he'll be doing the illustration and the art lessons. And in terms of writing, I have a very thought out and fantastic model. So we'll be teaching reading, listening, writing, and speaking all bundled in one, and we'll be getting them to write their own stories with prompts, and
very cool.
will involve them to listen as well. So one part of the story will be in text, they'll read it, then the next part they'll listen to it, then they'll write the rest of it, and then they'll speak it out.
Nice.
So it involves all the four faculties, hopefully. And I've tried it in many schools, and it
Mhm.
works every time. Even the
Yeah.
most shy students, they can once, because if you write something of your own, you're more comfortable speaking it up.
Yeah.
And so it works. It works. It's a very simple formula, and it's going to work. So we're giving this to, and it's not just these music, films, and all that. It's all those life lessons that you and I have acquired, and other people on board who have acquired. You know,
Right.
so it's, I think it's going to be an amazing place. It's, I'm just trying to figure out how I'll fund it because
Yeah.
it requires some significant
It's
seed
serious
funding.
funding.
But I'm
Well,
sending
my
it in
product
the
is
intention cloud, Michael. Everything
Well,
is
that's what the river of imagination is for.
absolutely.
You know, it's not costing you anything, and I'm
It's
more than willing to share the proceeds with you. Absolutely.
exactly.
See, the river of imagination concept came about because me and Pia were on this raft. We're producing our books. We're doing all this work, but it's just us. We don't have a team. We don't have any of that. And she, she's a teacher. She's been a teacher for more than 19 years. Amazing teacher, curriculum writer. We're both curriculum writers. I've written music curriculum, a complete creative arts package. This has actually been in the news. You can find it. Um, and so the River of Imagination was designed specifically. It's like, imagine us on a little raft going down the river, and we see someone on the side who's just too timid to step in, or maybe they don't have their own boat. Well, step on with us. You know what? We have this product, and you have these people. So here you go. And either 50-50, 60, whatever the price may be,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just
yeah,
tell me what you need, and we'll
yeah.
just keep printing and printing and printing. And as long as it is commercially viable, guess what? I have more product. I have more content. I have more series of books. I have an actual short film. I'm a content creator, not just when I have to be, but
Yeah, yeah.
24.
You can teach so much. That's why I mentioned you the film and the music composition and all that stuff. It's
And so
it's so
as far as
amazing.
that goes, absolutely, I'm here to help you raise those funds.
So you and
That's
Pia, and yeah, we have, as I said, I haven't posted it online or discussed with anyone publicly. This is going to be the first time, and I'm sure when we'll reach out to people, uh, we'll get a lot of support for this idea because the vision is grander than either of us. It's
absolutely.
something that should stay 50 years down the line, and other people should also come on board and add to it. It's not my idea or your idea; it's for the
Mhm.
future generations. And
Absolutely.
so the commercial viability is only to sustain it, not to make us millionaires. I don't want to be a
Right.
millionaire from this. uh, so the
And
whole
we don't
idea
have
is
to
that
be.
we can sustain it profitably, and do some good, give something
Yeah,
back. We've got,
absolutely.
I'm so grateful for everything I've got from society and people around. So I want to give something back. And it's a crazy idea. You know what, I'm 42, and for example, I don't know, people around me, they're like, you have a digital agency, you have a publishing house, you're sustaining all right, things are going great, you can scale it up, focus here. I'm like, publishing is okay, it's exciting for me. uh, Digital agency, okay, it's creative and exciting, but what is it that I'm adding to the society? What is going to be my legacy? uh,
Right.
I'm 42, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from many masters, spiritual masters and my own masters. What have I given out? What's It's a debt. I'm carrying a debt, big debt.
Right.
So I need to pass it on, and I need to
Right.
compound it. I can't just, I got one and I'm giving out one. I need to compound it. Like, so
Right.
that's the
And I
big
think
vision of my life.
that's something profound that we actually have in common, because I felt that same way. And like, me and Pia have these discussions. Yes, we have to eat. Yes, we have a lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yes, we have that, but it's not costing us $1 million.
exactly, exactly.
we, when we put out a book, we know exactly how much we need to make so that I can have just time. All I need
Absolutely.
is time, take a few months off from
Yeah,
the workforce,
yeah,
from having to close bids, having to do that to create this product, to create this content. And she already gets summers off.
yeah.
So
So
we figured
amazing,
out a
man.
formula that works for us to where we don't have to be millionaires,
Yep.
but we're very comfortable in our life.
We are, and I mean, you have no idea the kind of shit I've had to go through, like, to be able to do what I do. And I mean, nobody would understand why I'm going to England to study literature and films. Like, who goes and spends so much of money to study literature and films? And
Yeah.
ever since, like, last 20 years, I don't remember anyone truly understanding what I do, why I do it, because everyone's got a very pretty fixed way of living life. Go to college, find a job, buy a car, build a house, And I haven't done that.
Very
I don't
good.
own a house. I don't own a house. I don't even own a car. I can say this publicly. My wife does. I don't own a car. And
Yeah.
because one of the reasons is that I only travel like couple of miles a day.
Yeah.
My office is
Yeah.
about 5 minutes away, and I can walk. I can take my bike, and so I don't own anything. I'm 42, so it's like well, I have people working for me. We pay wages, and there's so many households that are impacted by what I do day to day. So I have to make business
Right.
work. But apart from that, I've always thought, and talking to you, it always comes out, Michael, that you validate the thought process that I've had, because nobody understood. Nobody
Yeah,
understood.
that's how I
Even
felt.
this evening,
Yeah.
I felt before talking to you, I was really, really disappointed because somebody said some really nasty words, the same kind of stuff that, what do you do? And, so I was like, okay, I'm just a published author with HarperCollins. I'm just a publisher who has published about 10, 15 books of some really great authors. I just pay a few people's salaries and wages.
That's all.
I just look after my house and my kids, but I don't do enough. So I
Right.
haven't I haven't a big shiny car parked outside. I don't wear a Rolex. And so if those are the metrics I'm judged by, then yes, I'm a big failure. But you don't know that
That,
that is all my choice. I don't have a Rolex because I chose not to have one, not because I can't afford it, but I chose
right.
not to have one. So,
Yes.
so I
That's exactly right. You know, we were a one-car family forever. People couldn't understand, why don't you get a car? Why are you staying home? Why is Pia working? Blah 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 blah. Like, well, I don't know. I don't know. This is just the life I'm in. I'm gonna live it. I'm
nobody
not gonna complain
understands it.
about it.
It's
And I
just
love it.
you love it.
Yeah,
I think I found a friend for life in you, and we're going to do a lot of great things.
I'm
I'm going to
looking
lead
forward.
the way in things happening in India, and I'm pretty sure you will be pulled here uh, as soon as possible. You won't be able to, because I think I'm going to arrange a Zoom session or something online for you to interact with the kids. I went last week to the school, and it was amazing. So I'm going
Yeah,
to arrange something where you can talk to the kids, and so something great's going to come out. We'll carry this
that would be.
conversation after the podcast. So one last thing that I would like to say, because we've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah, I
that
know, right?
the world is much the better because of people like you, and
Thank
I'm really
you.
proud of you. I'm sure Pia and your kids and you are proud of yourself.
Well,
So
the same to you too. When Pia, she's the one that told me about you. She said this guy is living parallel, and it's time for y'all to intersect. And so y'all
doppelganger.
both turn that corner.
Doppelgangers.
So, yeah.
Yes. It's amazing. It's been amazing talking to you, Michael. And
Well,
I'll
thank you.
close this podcast on this note that the world needs people like you, whether they know it or not, whether the world knows it or not.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'll,
Thanks a
I'll
lot
leave it
for
at
your
that.
time. I'll just
Thank you.